Hello and welcome to my channel and this episode. But before we begin, please remember to like and subscribe if you would like me to do more videos like this. Affirmation is 99% of why people do social media, and I'm not in the 1%. As I'm just beginning this channel, content is a little sparse, so please bear with me while I compile and produce these lovely little films touring the villages and towns of the UK. Wherever possible, I'll put up the what 3 words address for each location so you can follow along with me if you ever visit the locations yourself. Today we are in Daventry, which is in Northamptonshire in the United Kingdom. Daventry is approximately 90 miles north of London on the M1, 80 miles south of Liverpool and Manchester on the M6, and about as far away from the coast in the UK as you can possibly get. Daventry is famous for nothing very much other than some of the first experiments in radar, the BBC World Service, and a completely daft value for money proposal to build an extension to bring the Oxford Union Canal into the town centre. Our tour begins at the marketplace, after which we'll take a walk around to look at some of the interesting buildings and point out a few notable things near the centre, before heading back to the start and some new developments as of 2020. Here we are outside the lovely Ironstone Church of Holy Cross in Daventry. You can see this building from quite a distance away as you head towards Daventry, but because of Daventry's geographical position, it soon goes out of sight. The church was built in 1752 by some labourers, but designed by David Heon of Warwick, who also designed Cliff House in Warwick, Road Hall, and King's College in Birmingham. Sometimes on Heritage Open Days, they open up the church for viewing, and sometimes even allow access to the belfry, where you can ding some bells for fun. Most of the road the church is on has some really lovely looking buildings, and some of the older buildings in the town. Walking a little further down the road, we come to another lovely example of Georgian architecture. Now, I've always wanted to work in a building like this. I imagine all the desks are mahogany with that lovely leather padding on top, and there are some really old paintings of the directors and former managers who were sat on horseback, hung on the walls. Behind me is the Tesco's, but my director told me you wouldn't want to see that. A short walk down a little ginnel behind the Tesco brings you out on one of the main streets in Daventry, the imaginatively named New Street, or B4036 in old money. Here we are at one of the oldest buildings in the town. It says in the stonework on the front it was built in 1600, but parts of it date back to 1576. This is the Windsor Lodge, and if I recall correctly, it was at some point used as the town's schoolhouse, but it is now a private residence. Walking a bit further down New Street, past the main shopping parade, we come to the police station and magistrates' court. Legend has it that well-known mid-20th century British actor Sir Brian Cobbler, famous for such films as Oh Mr Bus Conductor and Where the Larch Flies, was arrested and locked up there sometime in the 1950s while filming the comedy Butter Would Not Melt. But I can't confirm that. Round the corner and on to London Road. Here we are at the Twinning area. Twinnings are a manufacturer of tea in the UK, and in the 1970s there was a drink tea campaign aimed at the British working class, part of which involved being twinned with various places across Germany where you can drink tea with friendly people. Although I'm told it might actually be something to do with post-Second World War reconciliation, but that's just a preposterous idea, as is the suggestion that it gives councillors somewhere to go on holiday that they can charge on expenses. A bit further down the road is Bull's Garage. Bull's has a lovely old world feel to it, the kind of place where the mechanic wears a blue overall, a flat cap, and has a roll-up on the go. It's one of the few remaining attended petrol stations in the UK, and the price of fuel here sets a benchmark to which the other petrol stations in the area stick to, usually a penny or two cheaper. A little further on is the world-famous Daventry or Daintree Hospital. There's no accident and emergency department in this hospital, so don't be having any accidents or emergencies while you are visiting Daventry, unless you fancy a trip in a helicopter or a 30-minute breakneck drive in the back of an ambulance down the A45. Turning around and heading back up the hill and into the town again. Now here is the Wheatsheaf Court. Just before the Battle of Naseby in 1645, Charles I, who was staying here, had a couple of pre-battle pints to calm his nerves, and went to bed. There he had a dream in which his old pal, Lord Strafford, told him not to go to battle. The next day, instead of heading east towards Market Harborough, he headed north, sending his lad, Prince Rupert, to go and fight instead. As it happened, Rupert lost, Cromwell won, and Charles went on to appear on a spike on London Bridge. Turning around, have a look through this little gate. Through here we can see the back of the Methodist Church, which I believe has an interesting floor and ceiling. I'm not sure if I've ever seen this open, but apparently it has been on Heritage Open Days. Now we're at the top of Sheaf Street. Here is the post office, with the Aldi behind us and an old telephone box. I'm not sure what this bandstand thing is for. I've never seen any bands playing here, only the occasional drunks singing, and a few smackheads. Sheaf Street is one of Daventry's oldest streets. In fact, it takes the route of the old road to and from London. Daventry has been pretty unfortunate with transport connections over the years. The A5 and M1 is just a little bit too far away to the east to be of any use. Railways came and went over a 70-year period, and the canals, well, they skirt around the outside too, despite the plans for the value for money canal extension. Daventry also boasts the largest selection of hairdressers in the UK, with nearly every other shop on Sheaf Street being a barber or a hairdresser. Despite this, there are some interesting features here. Notice these little hooks on the outside of the chippy. These are where the butchers used to hang their meat for sale. And this is a little passage leading to Daventry's micropub and the car park behind the Aldi. This is the former BBC Clubhouse, from when the BBC broadcast to the world from the top of Borough Hill. Sheaf Street leads onto the High Street, where we can see the local Wetherspoons. Not sure why you'd want to drink there. And here is the nearby Dun Cow, which once boasted the occasional live music night. The High Street also has a selection of hairdressers, as well as former banks and the local Conservative Club. Daventry is unfortunately a very conservative area, with Chris Heaton Harris as the local MP. Other features include a few charity shops and this building where the owner recently uncovered an older structure hiding underneath the outer layer. The High Street often holds a weekly market, and there has been a recent campaign to pedestrianise the roadway, led by the same fools who thought the canal arm was a good idea to waste money on. At the end of the High Street we come to the Moot Hall, a former jail, museum, council building and tat shop, outside of which stands the Burton Memorial, erected in the memory of Edmund Charles Burton, who was some town clerk that nobody seems to remember now. Daventry is now looking to the future, with talk of redeveloping much of the arable farmland north-east of the country park into luxury housing estates, which, of course, are desperately needed in this area. To accommodate the entertainment of these new residents, the council has approved the redevelopment of the former library and grammar school into an arts cinema. Places to eat in Daventry include the Greg's, one of the many coffee shops, the former Buddy's restaurant, the Water Margin, Abdul's, and the soon to relocate and popular Mosaic restaurant. And that brings us back to the start of our little tour around Daventry. If you'd like me to do more films like this, of towns or villages in the UK, leave a comment or like this one. Clicking the little subscribe button will keep you informed of my next release on my channel. Until next time, goodbye.